With regard to the pipeline, I think 2025 is looking exceptional. Not only do we have a much higher quality Hollywood slate with Mission Impossible, Zootopia 2, Formula One with Brad Pitt, and then this tiny little movie at the end of the year called Avatar 3. So I think that we're going to see, a more robust Hollywood slate. On the local side, we actually have six Film for IMAX. These are big budget movies with the best directors in the country using IMAX certified cameras in production now. And I think we'll see a large number of those actually released this year. So the pipeline's looking a lot more transparent than it did last year. And we see that as an extremely encouraging sign.
I was hoping you were going to say Top Gun because I would love to see another Top Gun 3 in IMAX. Now, as we talk about your cinemas, Greater China increased from 807 IMAX theaters to 809 for 2024. In terms of the growth or any kind of renovation of your existing theaters, what does the growth look like for your assets?
Well, one of the biggest benefactors of this Chinese New Year is the exhibitors, right? I mean, they had suffered for a really long time during COVID and then kind of slowly coming out of it. And, keep in mind, China was a lot later in coming out of COVID than really the rest of the world. So I think now that confidence has returned with the exhibitors, we're going to see a lot more upgrades. We're going to also continue to explore, opportunistically to new sites. In places that we can grow. I think it's nothing but positive for the expansion here and for IMAX in China.
Daniel, I think a lot of people are wondering, particularly in those markets where this hasn't hit the screens yet. I mean, here in Singapore, I believe this movie is going to be coming out around March the 6th. Just why it's so popular. I mean, you've been in China for 20 odd years. I mean, just help us understand this sort of transition we're seeing in the market because, a good gauge and a barometer that I look at is the CSI Media Index. And after every long holiday, Golden Week, this typically tends to pop because they are quite good at actually pushing out those, Chinese films during those holidays. And this is the case with Ne Zha too, undoubtedly. But I'm just trying to get your thoughts on what sort of transition we're starting to see and sort of a more patriotic viewership over in China to more sort of Chinese new traditional themes away from what we have typically seen with regards to the popularity around Hollywood.
Sure. Well, obviously, I think the best way for your audience to answer that question is to go see the film. And fortunately, we are actually bringing this movie to a lot of different countries right now. It's obviously dated somewhat after the Chinese New Year, but just to give you an example, in North America, we're going to be releasing it on 100 IMAX screens coming up this weekend. But back to your question of sort of why this film. The film, number one, it's super entertaining. It's funny. It's got great pacing. It's got incredible action sequences, and it's got heart. At the heart of the story is a really wonderful, message. But moreover, this Ne Zha IP comes from a much, much larger universe that has really been, at the center of Chinese sort of DNA for children and even older demographics. So I think what this movie really does is it hits every demographic. This is a film that a child all the way to a grandparent can go and see together and really enjoy it in the same way.